Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of On the Range. And today we're in the A-10C Warthog, and we're going to employ the gun again. And this time we're going to look at a more obscure feature of the Gunsight, but one that can be useful in the proper situations. We'll say hypothetically that our situation as it stands right now is that we have a legitimate reason, whether it's ground fire or a rule of engagement that we have to adhere to stay above 3,000 feet above ground level no matter what. We just do not want to bust that altitude block. But, how do we do that other than, just staying way up in the air, You're going to get distracted. You're going to go in on weapons delivery runs, and you might not have that on your mind all the time. But what we can do is set the aircraft up to give us some cues to clue us in that we're getting a little bit too low to the ground. And I'm going to demonstrate that on a guns run. So first, let's look at what the aircraft itself can do for us. If we zoom into the UFC up-front control, I have a button called Altitude Alert. If I press it, you see that it's set to 500 AGL floor. What that means is that by default, I'm going to get an audio warning that is going to say altitude, altitude when I go below 500 feet AGL. Now for this situation, I want to stay above 3,000 feet AGL. That means that I need to start getting alerts at about no more than, say, 3,500 feet. So to set it up to do that, I'd press altitude alert, and then by using the data rocker switch, I set the floor to 3,500. Okay, with that set, when I dive below 3,500, and you'll see this happen during the demonstration here, I'm going to get that audio warning saying that I'm too low. I need to pull up, otherwise I'm going to bust that 3,000 foot AGL limit that I've got to adhere to. Now I'm going to do this on a guns run. So this is where I get into that Gunsight setting, and this is kind of something that's not up there by default, but it's something that you can set the Gunsight up to do for you. So I'm going to come down to my IFC switch. I'm going to put it to test by right-clicking, and that's going to bring up my main menu. I want to come down to the weapons selection, hit enter. I have a 30mm menu. I'll hit enter again, and then I have min altitude. Right now it's set to 0, and by default that's going to remove that cue that I'm going to show you that tells me how close I'm getting to my desired altitude. So it's set to 0, and again with the data rocker, I'm going to set this to something reasonable. I'm going to set this to 4,000 feet. And you'll see what this does once we bring the Gunsight up. So that's at 4,000 feet. Let me go ahead and get out of this menu, exit, and then go back to IFC to on by left-clicking. Okay, now let me get set up for a guns run so we can demonstrate exactly what I just did. So, master arm to arm, gun pack switch to arm, and the gun ready light is illuminated green. I'm going to the guns HUD mode by depressing the master mode control button once, and I have my Gunsight displayed. So let me disengage the autopilot here briefly, and I can show you something that you may or may not have seen on the Gunsight before. In my previous videos, all I had was the basic Gunsight, just the CSIP gun reticule. But now, since I went into that gun menu under the IFC settings, I now have a caret up here, and this is going to be my minimum range caret. That caret is going to start ticking down as I approach 5 seconds to my set altitude. So as I'm diving through, say, 5,000 feet, 4,900, 4,800, this caret is going to count down. When it reaches the middle of the gun reticule, that's going to be when I'm at 4,000 feet. So that's when I need to start thinking about, okay, I need to start firing this gun now, otherwise I'm going to risk busting my altitude. And then if I completely miss that, I have a backup of my altitude alert, which was set at 3,500 feet. So I have two cues that's going to help me stay within my desired altitude block. So let's demonstrate this in action real quick, and I'm just going to roll in on some soft targets out here. My intent is to fire the gun at about let's see, I'll go for about a 6,000 foot slant range. That should keep me above my, well, that's going to cut it close actually. So let's just see how close I can get on a normal, say just a low angle strafe run. And I'm going to fire at no more than 4,000 feet above ground level. So we use that cue in the gun sight to help me out. So let me trim for a nose down attitude here and roll in on this this target. So I'm going to set up to overfly, place my reticule short, then evaluate the situation. Okay, so I've got a good visual on the target, diving through 5,500. Okay, I'm coming up on 4,000, so I need to set up, fire. I'm diving through 3,500, so I really need to pull up now. And that is how it works. You saw on the side of the gun sight, and I'll do this one more time, just kind of off target here. Okay, so as I come down, actually I'm below the altitude. Let me get back up above 4,000 feet so I can demonstrate this this thing. So I'm going to set up for one more run and demonstrate that one more time. And you saw that everything happened very, very quickly. You know, it's easy to get distracted and not have absolute, 100% track of what altitude you're at a certain time. So I saw that the carrot start to go down on the side of the gun sight. I knew that I needed to line up and fire quick if I was going to do it on that pass. I fired, and then I heard my altitude alert sound, and that was when I knew that I needed to start to pull up to keep from busting that 3,000 foot altitude that I had imposed upon myself. So rolling in one more time, you can see on the gun sight that the carrot is at the top. As I start to approach 4,000 feet, that's the setting that I set it to, the carrot is going to begin to come down the sight. At 4,000 feet above ground level, it's at the middle of the sight. And as I approach 3,500 feet, I get the altitude alert and know that I need to pull up to avoid going below 3,000 feet. So that's kind of an obscure feature, but I love obscure features in the DCS A-10C module. There's so much here. This is a great simulation, and it's stuff like that that just keeps me coming back for more. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found it somewhat useful. And if you enjoy videos like this, please do consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a comment and dropping a like. That your feedback and your interaction sure does help out a lot. So I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.